Welcome to week 2 with our virtual book club. Just going to make sure that I'm in the right space here. Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome. Hope everyone had an awesome day today. So we are on week 2 with how to talk so kids will listen and listen so kids will talk. And this has been a fantastic book that I've been reading and really enjoying and utilizing a lot of the tools in my home with my kids. And so that's why I decided to kind of put on a virtual book club. That way we as parents can explore together various tools to help support our families and our parenting everything. My name is Haley and welcome. And I am the overwhelmed mom. You know, I have been there. I am there at times. I believe that no parent and no person is perfect. And we all have our struggles and we all have our things. And feeling overwhelmed is something that I definitely can relate to and understand. Not every day is fantastic with parenting. That's just real life. You know, I could have all the tools in my pocket and literally struggle so hard some days. And I just think that you kind of have to take each day as they come and understand that even though you have these tools, sometimes they're not going to work, and that's okay, right? We're going to have days where our kids fuss and they whine and we feel frustrated and we feel impatient and we feel whatever, and that's okay. Okay, you guys, give yourself grace with that. Don't feel like you have to be a happy, perfect, whatever, happy-go-lucky parent all the time, because sometimes that's just really not realistic, right? But it's about exploring the tools, just like this group is about. We're exploring different tools that we can utilize in our routine so that we feel equipped to handle a lot of different situations. So we are on chapter 2 with this book. And if you guys haven't grabbed the book, that's totally okay. You're still going to learn a little bit of something here tonight. But if you want to go ahead and grab the book, click on the link that's in the description. It's going to take you right to my website. And then you can go ahead and click the link from there to grab it off of Amazon. That was the cheapest place that I could find it. And so that's definitely the place where you can go ahead and grab it. There's also an audio version there as well if you're more of somebody who likes to listen to the book, but there's some really great exercises in this book that are nice to kind of write in it. So I really, really encourage you guys to grab the book for that reason and for that purpose. As I said before, you guys, I don't know how typical book clubs go because I've never been part of one, so this is just how I would do it. And I'll just pick out kind of the gold nuggets of chapter 2 that I was like, yeah, that's totally discussable. And if you guys have read this book and have read chapter 2 and wanted to give your own input, feel free to do so. I would love to hear kind of your takeaways from the chapter. And maybe you've tried something in this chapter, and this one is on engaging cooperation. So maybe you've tried something in this chapter and you're like, yeah, that really worked for my family. Go ahead and share that story. I would love to hear how that has worked for your family. Anyways, so we'll get into it. And if you guys have questions along the way, please ask. And let's go ahead with this. So chapter 2, engaging cooperation. We know now that the old methods don't work. All our explaining and reassuring bring no relief to the children and wear us out. Yet the new methods can present problems too. Even though we're aware of how much more comforting empathetic response can be, it still is not easy to give. And how true is that? When I look back on within the last 6 months to a year, my parenting strategies, you guys, those old methods were not working for me. I was yelling. There was a lot of frustration and tears and attitude from all circles, myself, Layla, my daughter, right? So just all of those things. And the old methods weren't working for me, telling my child to go on a timeout did not work. Yelling and doing those things did not work. And so that's when I decided to pick up a book and do the personal growth that helped me with the new tools that I use, right? So it's a journey for sure. And it's about being consistent and not just giving up like the first time that something doesn't work, right? So the new methods are going to they may seem silly to you at first. They're going to seem weird at first for sure. But if you continue to do it and continue to practice it and continue to be consistent with it, it gets easier and easier and easier every single time. And it starts to work so much better when you go through it, right? Because even at first, your child might be like, what the heck is this? Like, this is just, what the heck is this? But, stay consistent with it and practice different tools, right? One might work better for you than the other, and have fun on the journey, right? The more intense we become, the more actively they resist. When we have a child that we're constantly saying, like, do this, do this, do this, don't do this, don't do this, you can't do this, all of those things, and we go on and on and on and on, we're going to become the enemy, right? They're going to resist us big time. It's just going to be like, holy cow, we don't want to listen to this person anymore because they sound like a broken record, right? If you're constantly at them, and you're just going to lose all of your energy, you guys, and you're going to lose all your patience, right? If you're constantly like becoming super intense with your child with the do's and the don'ts. So there's a really great exercise in the next part of the book here, and it's listing off kind of how would you feel if these things were happening to you, or like kind of like in the child's eyes. So exercise on how you would feel with all of these things. And I'll list them off for you so you can kind of just get a gist of what they are. But again, a good reason why to have the book, because I'm not going to go through every single one and all of the different things, but I'll go through a couple with you. So blaming and accusing. How would it make you feel as a child, right? So think of you as a child, how you'd feel with this, with the blaming and accusing. Your dirty fingerprints are on the door again. Why do you always do that? What's the matter with you anyway? Can't you ever do anything right? How many times do I have to tell you to use the doorknob? The trouble with you is that you never listen. Now, as a child, how would you feel, right? So it then gets you to write down how you would feel. The name calling. And there's a bunch of different examples there. And as a child, how would you feel? The threats. Just you touch that lamp one more time and you'll get a smack. Or if you don't spit that gum out this minute, I'm going to open your mouth and take it out, right? I laugh at that one because there's been like the time where it's like, if you don't brush your teeth right now, and this has happened to me with my daughter, if you don't brush your teeth right now, I'm going to take that toothbrush and brush your teeth for you. And like, not in a very nice way, right? And that's traumatizing when I think about that. If you're not finished dressing by the time I count to 3, I'm leaving without you, right? How would you feel as a child with those threats? Probably not great. maybe scared, like there's different ways that you can feel. Commands, lecturing, warnings, comparisons, sarcasm. So there's lots of different things that it's like, as a child, how would you feel? And it really allows you to put yourself in their shoes, which can be very eye-opening. And then it says here, now that you know how the child in you would react to these approaches, you might be interested in finding out that the reactions of others who have tried this exercise could be different, and that every child could respond differently as well to the same words. So like the blaming and accusing. The door is more important than I am, the child might think. I'll lie and tell her it wasn't me, the child may say. I'm shrinking is something that they could feel. I want to call her a name is something that they may think. You say I never listen, so I won't, right? So those are kind of some examples there. The threats, because I had gone over that one. Oh, I'll touch the lamp when she's not looking. I want to cry. I'm afraid. Leave me alone. The warnings, I think I had gone over, right? Just double check here. The threats. Yeah. So yeah, I'm afraid. Leave me alone. So it's really interesting to kind of see and read those, knowing that children are going to think different things, but also kind of putting yourself in their shoes and understanding it maybe a little bit more. So to engage cooperation, there's really 5 key things that you can look at with this. It could be describe what you see or describe the problem. You could give information. You can say it with a word. You can talk about your feelings, or you can write a note. And so I really love how in this book, and you'll see it throughout the book, that they have like little pictures and illustrations of people talking, like comic strips, right? And I really love the visual part of it because I'm a very visual person. So they go through the 5 different different things here: the describe, the give information, the say it with a word, talk about your feelings, and write a note. So I'm just going to kind of go over these a little bit with you guys. So describe what you see or describe the problem. When grown-ups describe the problem, it gives children a chance to tell themselves what to do. So here's a good one. Instead of, you haven't taken that dog out all day, you don't deserve a pet, you could describe, I see Rover pacing up and down near the door. So it's easier to concentrate on the problem when someone just describes it to you, right? It's hard to do what needs to be done when people are telling you what's wrong with you. And I really like that, describing. How many times do I have to tell you to turn off that bathroom light after you use it? And it has like the father pointing at that child. Or in a better way, you can describe the lights on in the bathroom, right? It's a much easier way, and it's a much more positive way to say it, and it really gets the information to them. Give information is the next one. When children are given information, they can usually figure out for themselves what needs to be done. So here's one. If I catch you writing on that wall one more time, you're going to get a spanking. I laugh because this has totally happened in my house, where it's like, if I catch you, you're not supposed to be drawing on those walls. So give information instead. Walls are not for writing on, paper is for writing on. And I had talked about this the other day, actually, where with the permissive parenting, because some parents may think that by acknowledging or accepting their child's behavior, that they may feel like the child may feel like they can get away with anything, which really isn't true, because you can acknowledge and accept your child's behavior, but also recognize that that it's unacceptable to be doing something, right? So give that information of, I see you're having a lot of fun drawing on those walls, but walls are not for drawing on, right? Paper is for drawing on. So giving them that information is going to be really helpful for them, and they can figure it out themselves. Say it with a word. So look at the contrast between the effect of the long paragraph or the effect of a single word. And this is something that I've been definitely practicing, because I was always the one who'd be like, oh, like, you can't be doing this because let it, and I just go on and on and on. And my daughter's eyes would would literally glaze over. She'd be like, oh, I'm just not listening to you anymore, right? um, and so I've been really practicing just to use one word or, 2 words, right? So this one is an example here. I've been asking and asking you kids to get your pajamas on, and all you've been doing is clowning around. You agreed that before you watch TV, you'd be in pajamas, and I don't see a sign of anyone doing anything about it, right? That's so much words. They have no, they're just done. They're like, haha, we're still going to clown around. We're just not listening to mom. But if you say it with a word, and if you say it with meaning behind it as well, kids, pajamas, they're going to get that, right? Less is more at this point. Children dislike hearing lectures, and long explanations. For them, the shorter the reminder, the better. And that's so true, right? If you were like, look at you, you're walking out the door without your lunch again, you'd forget your head if it weren't attached to you. Or you can say, Jamie, your lunch. It's so much easier for the both of you. Talk about your feelings. Make no commitment about the child's character make no comment about the child's character or personality. Children are entitled to hear their parents' honest feelings. By describing what we feel, we can be genuine without being hurtful. So you could say, so instead of, stop that, you're a pain in the neck, you could say something about your feelings. So talk about your feelings. I don't like having my sleeve pulled on, right? Instead of, what is wrong with you? You always leave the screen door open. You can talk about your feelings. It really bothers me when the screen door is left open. I don't want flies around our food. So it's not kind of belittling them, right? Because when we talk about it like that, when we're always like, you always, or, you're a pain in the neck, or you're whatever, that really makes that child potentially feel small, right? So talk about your feelings. Notice when parents are being helpful, they talk about their feelings only. They use the words I or I feel. And it's easier to cooperate with someone who is expressing irritation or anger. Sorry. It's easier to cooperate with someone who is expressing irritation or anger as long as you're not being attacked. So instead of you're rude, you always interrupt. You can say, I feel so frustrated when I start to say something and can't finish, right? And it's okay to express that with irritation, but not blaming other people, letting them know how you're feeling about that. Tonight, for example, I'm going to just use my bedtime tonight, for example. And it's so funny because I feel like my kids, anytime that I have like something that has to be done, they sense it, and it's like, haha, I'm gonna really take my time with things. And so tonight I said to my daughter, I said, I'm like, mommy's seeing red right now because mommy has things that need to be done. I'm feeling very frustrated because we're not going to bed on time, right? So letting them know your feelings. And they're actually just learning this color chart at school right now. And she told me about it the other day. And tonight I said, Mummy's in the red. And she was like, well, I'm in the yellow. And I'm like, okay, what does the yellow mean again? That's the silly color or whatever. And I'm just like, we don't have time for being in the yellow. Like, we need to get into the green, please. So the green is like the calm, and ready to learn and ready to do, those things. So writing a note. So this is one of the last ones here, is writing a note. Sometimes nothing we say is effective as the written word. The note below was written by a father who was tired of cleaning his daughter's long hairs from the sink. So he wrote, help, hairs in my drain, give me a pain. Plug your stopped up sink. So writing notes can actually be super effective because sometimes people just don't have the ability to properly hear things or respond to things. I know that with my significant other, writing notes can be very helpful because it's almost like the spoken word can't be communicated properly. And writing notes are perfect. Before you turn this TV on, think, have I done my homework? Have I practiced? And obviously these would be for children who are able to read. You would want to use notes, but you can also do like very simple notes, like homework before TV, and have that on the TV. And a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old can most definitely read that. Toys away after play, love mom, right? Like, so it's simple notes like this. This one is, a mother flew a paper airplane with the words on it to her son and his friend, neither of whom could read. They ran in and asked her what the word said. And when they found out, they ran back to put their toys away. Like, that's super fun. So those are 5 skills that encourage cooperation and leave no residue of bad feelings behind. If your kids happen to be in school now or in bed or by some miracle playing quietly, then this is your chance to fit in a few minutes of practice. You can sharpen your skills on some hypothetical child before your own descend on you. And so there's another exercise here. And again, a good reason why it's good to have this book. But if you walk into your bedroom, I'll just give you an example here. If you walk into your bedroom and find that your freshly bathed child has just thrown a wet towel on your bed, you would write a typical statement that might be made to the child that would not be helpful. So what would you typically write or say to that child that's not helpful in any way? And then B, in the same situation, show how each of the skills listed that we just learned about below could be used to invite your child's cooperation. So by describing what you see or describe the problem, by giving information, by saying it with a word, talk about your feelings, or write a note. And so I'm going to just give you what I would think here. So describing what you see, you can say, I see that there's a wet towel on my bed. Give information, wet towels can leave my bed musty or smelly, right? Say it with a word, towel. You can just simply say like, towels on my bed. Talk about your feelings. I really don't enjoy laying in a wet bed all night, right? Or write a note. You can stick a note on their door. And then it has a couple other different situations that you can fill in, which is fun. So it's important to be authentic. Sounding patient when I'm feeling angry can only work against me. Not only do I fail to communicate honestly, but because I've been too nice, I wind up letting it out on my child later on. It would have been more helpful had I bellowed, skates belong in the closet. So you want to make sure that obviously you're not like, oh, please, like skates belong in the closet to too softly. You actually want to stand up and use your voice in a good way, and be authentic about it. Because if you are feeling frustrated, then make sure it's known that you are feeling frustrated about a situation. And just because I didn't get through the first time doesn't mean I should revert to the old ways, right? So like I said earlier, it takes time, it takes commitment, it takes practice to use some of these skills and some of these tools. And when you have a bad day, you guys, like if you have a day that you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling impatient and you're feeling those things, don't let that bring you back to your old ways, right? Don't let that bring you down and feel like a failure at whatever, because we're all going to have those days, right? We're all going to have those days, and that's okay. And that's why this is about exploring positive parenting techniques. Like I said earlier, you don't have to be perfect with it, but explore and see what works for you and what works for your family. So remember to engage a child's cooperation, describe what you see or describe the problem. So from the example earlier, there's a wet towel on my bed. Give information. The towel is getting my blanket wet. Say it with the word. The towel. Describe what you feel. I don't like sleeping in a wet bed. Or write a note. And you can write a note like above the towel rack. Please put me back so I can dry. Thanks, your towel. So that is what I'm going to go over with you guys tonight, because that brings us to our 30-minute mark. And then at the end here, I love this section of the book because it has comments, questions, and parent stories, which is fantastic. And it's a great thing just to kind of read over. And so another reason why I really, really encourage you guys to grab the book for sure. But it's also something that I'll kind of throughout the week go over some of these things with you guys. During this week, I actually did a couple of them. Talking with compassion from the adult is always appreciated, and permissive parenting, acknowledging and accepting the child's behavior. Those were kind of questions that parents had or stories that parents had from the first chapter. So I'll be sure to do some short kind of 5 to 10 minute videos throughout the week, kind of touching on either some of these stories or some of the questions that parents had for this book as well. And then if you guys have questions, please comment them on the thread. So every single week with every chapter, we have a thread over in the guide section that you can comment your stories or your own questions or your own little gold nuggets from each chapter. So be sure to utilize the threads for that. And next week is about alternatives to punishment. Punishment can be so hard, especially now in this day and age. And so there's definitely different alternatives to punishment, and I'm excited to go over that with you guys. So I hope you guys have the best day. I know this is evening when I'm recording this, but whenever you're watching, I hope you have the best day. And thanks so much for joining in chapter 2 with How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. I hope you have a couple takeaways from this chapter and you feel confident in utilizing, at least one of those exercises, either describing what you're seeing or describing the problem, give information, say it with a word, talk about your feelings, or write a note. So this week, if you can do anything, try one of those things and let me know how it goes for you. It's fun. It is a lot of fun. And I have definitely been utilizing these tools with our family, and it's been working so amazingly well. Anyways, you guys, have the best day, and we shall see you around. Bye.